Okay, so I'm having the last presentation before the sunshine and the beer, so let's get started and welcome to this session. This session is going to be about deploying to multiple AWS accounts and regions and having kind of same Terraform code, but doing multi deployments with Terragrunt. I suppose many of you have used Terraform, so it's everyone happy with Terraform? Yes. Anyone using Terragrunt? Two-ish. All right, that's a good point because otherwise I would ask you to take the presentation. All right, so my name is Pekka from Finland. I'm from a company called Node Hero. I'm co-founder of the company. We've been around for a bit over 4 years now, doing all AWS stuff, mostly cloud native, serverless computing, DevOps, cloud-based data engineering stuff. And my personal history, I've been on the branch for 25 years, not with AWS all the time, but doing software development, software architectures, at the moment being also on the business side. And I'm also AWS community leader and user group leader, and part of the organizing stuff here today. So today's agenda, a few terms, acronyms, and kind of presenting the use case. So where should you use Terragrunt? Why should you be interested in Terragrunt? And then simple instructions how to install stuff and how to do deployments both with Terragrunt and the Terraform, just to show you the differences. That I will probably show a live demo, so it will crash and burn, and we will all go away sad, but let's see how it goes. Okay, so the first terms. I suppose as you have been using Terraform, you already know the infrastructure as code. And the basic idea is that, well, typically from the AWS well-architected perspectives, if you have more than one environment, you shouldn't be using one account. You should separate the workloads into different accounts. That's kind of a basic principle, kind of restricting the blast radius, for example, and kind of protecting you to do dumb things, for example, dropping databases in accident from the wrong environment if those all are in the same account. And you should be doing click ops, kind of manually clicking things up only if you have one environment, only if you are kind of testing things out, how to those perform. And if and when you need to set up the same environment again and again to a same or different environment or different account or different region, you should always use some infrastructure as code tool. And a short history about those tools. There's a small link on the lower right corner from my colleague who has done a pretty good job of comparing and going through a different infrastructure as code tools. But the things that we are talking about today, Terraform was first formed at 2014, so it's 10 years already. It's quite old language. And as Andrew earlier talked at the same room about the different wrappers for Terraform, that's kind of the basic case. That Terraform is such old, it has lots of different kind of wrappers for doing different kind of things and helping you out with different kind of problems or issues. And OpenTofu can't be left out. That was formed last year, more or less kind of fork from Terraform, but it will in future going to its own direction perhaps. But so far it's been quite easy to switch from Terraform to OpenTofu while that the actual language is more or less 100% the same. So typically you wouldn't need to have any changes in the Terraform code. All right. So dry. That was the other acronym I wanted to touch, and that is something really about Terragrunt. And dry means don't repeat yourself. And actually, Terragrunt does some repeating, but very, very, very small repeat. So one problem with Terraform, which Terragrunt is solving, is that it's not that easy to manage different kind of variations of the same code. If you need to deploy this mostly the same infrastructure to a different environments, but for example, having one Fargate task in development environment, 3 tasks in staging environment, but having 10, for example, in the production environment. So that kind of differences between systems and kind of having the same infrastructure but different regions and that kind of stuff, it's been pretty cumbersome to manage with the Terraform, and people have tried out different kind of things to manage the issue. But Terragrunt is something to solve that kind of stuff. And the key question is, how does Terragrunt do that? Well, here on the right side, you have a kind of typical production kind of setup or kind of AWS environment that you have. You have your production account. You might have 2 regions in use, one in US, one in European side. You have 2 production environments running on those regions, and you might have a kind of production kind demo system for your customers to use. And you could have 1 or more staging accounts. You could have 1 or more development accounts in different regions. You could have personal sandbox for developers where you can play around whatever thing you are wishing to have. And the idea, of course, would be that those environments would be similar to each other, so that once you deploy into staging environment and run those tests, you could be pretty sure that it will work in production. And that is, of course, something that you can't rely on when you are doing click ops, so kind of clicking things up in console, you always forget something. So how does Terraform manage this all? And these are things that you can name differently. You can have different kind of structures, but the Terraform documentation kind of relies on using these kind of naming conventions, and that's why I've been choosing those. So, for example, a typical project has Terraform code in one folder, say infrastructure, and having the Terragrunt configuration files in deployments folder. And you could have a 3-level folder structure beneath the deployments folder. So that's where the Terragrunt stuff lies. So I could have this kind of folder structure in my project where I was using Terragrunt. So having 1 level of folders for accounts, having 1 level of folders beneath the account folder for regions, and having environment folders beneath the region folder. So you would need to set up this kind of folder structure. And let's go a bit deeper, and I will soon show you very, very simple demo. First of all, how to install the stuff. I'm using in my demonstration OpenTofu because using Mac, using the Brew tool to install new software, and it actually wouldn't let me install Terraform, as it said it is already deprecated because of those licensing stuff and late IBM purchasing and whatever. So basically, the default option is to use OpenTofu instead of Terraform nowadays. So one command, brew, install OpenTofu, and it gets installed. The later tofu version command just checks that you have successfully installed the OpenTofu. It's that simple. And the same procedure for Terragrunt. Just brew install Terragrunt and it's all there. And while Terragrunt is just a wrapper at this point, more or less just a wrapper on top of Terraform or OpenTofu, it needs that you first install the OpenTofu or Terraform to be functional. So it's not enough that you only install the Terragrunt. And so let's first start with creating a very simple AWS infrastructure with OpenTofu, or actually Terraform is the language that it is using. So basically what I have here is I only have one S3 bucket, and I have two configurations for the bucket. So I check the ownership controls and I set the bucket to be private bucket. So that's the only thing I have in my Terraform code. And as you see, there are some environment variables. I'm using some naming. I am using some environment variable, and I'm also using the AWS region as a variable. So I need to have those variables set somewhere or declared somewhere. So 3 strings that I'm going to need. So I'm kind of prepared Terraform already now to be used with the several different accounts, several different environments. So I have that environment and region names there. And when I have this code, it's fairly easy to put that code into live, so deploy it to AWS. So basically, if using OpenTofu, I just call tofu init, which initialized the plugin, AWS provided plugin, and the Terraform state. And you can use tofu plan, which will kind of dry run the code and see what kind of changes there will be. And the actual button is the tofu apply. And if you're using Terraform, it's Terraform init, Terraform plan, Terraform apply. We could at this point run the demo. So as you see, as you don't see, let's end this show and open. Yes, here we go. I will put it a bit bigger. So, as you see, I have here my infrastructure folder. I also have the deployments folder, but first seeing the infrastructure code. This is exactly the same code that you saw just a moment ago. I can now, I'm in the infrastructure folder, and as you see, I have these two files. I can do tofu init. So as you've been using Terraform, you know what's going to happen. It will initiate and create the Terraform log file, and it will have some caching there. And now I can do tofu apply, which will deploy my code into AWS. So as I have variables, now it starts to ask me what values I would like to use with those values variables. So I would select the EU Nordvar, which is Stockholm region. The stack name is Copenhagen. The company name is Node Hero. Now it will say that it will deploy these kind of changes to the cloud and ask whether that is okay. Yes, that is okay. And that's why I like so much Terraform instead of CDK. It's so fast. Now it has been deployed, and as you see, AWS S3 LS, it shows that I now have a bucket in my account. I can also show you it from the browser. I have here my account. I have S3 buckets. There's one bucket that has been just created. And when I, from this command line, say tofu destroy, it will again ask me the same variables. As you see, it's kind of getting to be a bit hard. It was, if I recall it all okay, it was EU Node 1, Copenhagen, and Node Hero. Yes, I will like to destroy the bucket. And now it should have been gone. Yes. So I have no buckets in my account anymore. All right, so I will do, not that. I will do some little things. I will just take this Terraform stuff away. Those temporary files, because I don't need those anymore. And these two, those were created during my last demo. All right, now I'm back to the basic. So let's continue to Terragrunt. All right, so how can we utilize the Terragrunt in the same environment without changing my Terraform code at all? So the basic with Terragrunt is that I will need a 3-level folder structure. So the thing that I will do or have is that I will have my account folder. I will have 2 regions, and I will have 2 accounts within those regions, or 2 environments within those regions. And as you see, the infrastructure folder stays the same. And inside those green folders, I will need to have some Terragrunt configuration files. And I will have one configuration file for account level settings. So I only will have account name, account ID, which I'm going to use for deploying my code to. Then on the region level, I will have 2 regions. I have the Stockholm region, which has only one attribute in it. And in Frankfurt region, I only have one variable in it. And then on the environment level, I will have more variables set. So as you saw earlier, I was using the name Node Hero. I was using the environment Copenhagen for something like that. And here I've set up files having sandbox, environment named sandbox in Stockholm, and environment named test in Frankfurt region. So fairly simple. So I will need, for all those leaves in my folder structure, I need one configuration file to define the that level variables that are used. And as we have these folder structures from the deployment route to the actual environment level, I will have 2 more configuration files, one on the root and one configuration file on each leaf of the tree, folder tree. And the thing which is kind of the bigger one is the file that I need in the root of the deployment folder. And what that configuration file does, it gathers all the variables from all the levels of my Terragrunt configuration, and it picks up the ones that is needed by the Terraform, and it configures the Terraform to use remote state. So earlier, when I used Terraform from my own computer without any settings, it stored the Terraform state in my own machine. But now, what Terragrunt does, it stores the Terraform state in the AWS account on that particular account that it is currently deploying. So that means that you could do multiple deployments from different computers or DevOps automation systems and using the same Terraform state which resides in the AWS account. And it also sets up a DynamoDB table for storing the Terraform state log. And at the last part, it combines all those variables that it has got from the files as a kind of one set of variables. That's what it does. And on the other hand, so on the leaf side of the tree, I will need another configuration file. On each of those leaves from my tree, I need the same file, actually, which is not dry, but that is something that Terragrunt is not that dry. So I need this exact file, and what it does, it finds the way to the root. So I have a folder here in the sandbox account. The first thing it does, it finds the way to the root so that it can kind of check all the variables throughout the way. And it sets the Terraform source, so it checks that where the actual Terraform code resides, and it configures the Terraform to be used. So that's all. And so the final folder structure will be this kind. So I have my tree with accounts, regions, environments, and I have one Terragrunt configuration file in each of those. And I have an intra folder beneath each environment having the Terragrunt configuration that will be actually kicked off or launched. And that's about it. So basically how I can use Terragrunt is very similar to how to use Terraform or OpenTofu. So we could move on to our demo. Wait a second. I will need to. Yep. All right. So we can now close the infrastructure folder and open the deployments folder. So under the deployments, I have one folder, which is my account, and I have the root level configurations, just as I explained a few seconds ago. And when I open the account level, I have two regions under this account, and I have account level variables, so the account name and account ID. And if I go to EU North 1 region, I have region level variables, and I have sandbox environment. And here in the sandbox environment, I have the sandbox environment variables, and beneath the environment, I have infra folder, which consists the last Terragrunt definition. And this same file can be also found in beneath all those different environments that I have in the system. So if we would first like to deploy the where was my if we first would like to deploy the Stockholm sandbox, open in integrated terminal. Here we go. So now we are in this folder. I can set Terragrant init. And it first says that there's no state bucket in the account. Should I create it? Yes. And now it creates the state bucket in my account. It creates the DynamoDB table for storing the Terraform log, which prevents multiple deployments at the same time from different machines. It initializes the Terraform and the AWS tools. No hurry. Take your time. I hope I still have the Wi-Fi connection. I might be seeing some kind of there might be some permission thing. Wait a second. No. It should be working. Now you are seeing a demo effect. Let's try it again. I guess there might be some. All right. I think I'm lost connection or something here, but as you can imagine, it should work the same way as it did earlier. So I can deploy my infrastructure here, and when I change to the other folder, I go to the infrastructure folder. It will also be able to deploy the code with those variables from that point. But halfway through with the demo, just a few last slides. So basically, change into the other folder. I can deploy the other environments, and destroying resources. I can't use the destroy all command with Terragrunt. I need to destroy those resources one by one by going into those folders and saying Terragrunt destroy. And that was about it. A few links. I've written a blog from the same thing. You can have all those files from there. I have a GitHub repo for those, and OpenTofu, Terragrunt, and this is fairly good documentation about Terraform, but you might already know that. And of course, Anton Papenko's Terraform modules. Those are really great. So, thank you.
Okay, so thank you for the presentation. You have in this particular example, you have two regions. You have one north, one was it you central. What would stop me as a creative developer to define additional provider configuration in UU north and start creating resources in central there, because I can have two provider configurations, right? Is there anything that would enforce this convention of directories? Can I misbehave?
Not really sure. I haven't really run into that situation. Have you?
People are creative.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
So, as I understand it, the only reason that you have those full destruct is so you can actually have all the variables at the very end, right? Can you run the multiple regions with a single command on Terragrunt and have like run in parallel like the multiple regions? So, from your second level, can you run everything that's underneath, or?
No, actually, you can of course build scripts to run stuff in different folders, but you cannot kind of do deploy all or destroy all kind of.
Okay.
Anyone else? One question. What is the one thing about Terragrunt that you hate?
I guess it's practically it's the one file that needs to be in all those folders, because that makes Terragrunt not dry. But otherwise, I like it really much. Maybe it's more about kind of those AWS account profiles and that kind of stuff, so that from my own computer I need to set up the AWS connection first and then run, so it's not that kind of automatic to run into different systems. But typically I have one account running my tests and development stuff, and then the deployment pipeline handles the rest, so it's fairly easy to set up those kind of environment level account variables in DevOps pipelines. Thank you.